A reminder of this afternoon's big breaking news. Ruben Amorim is Manchester United's new head coach, signing a deal until the summer of 2027 with the option of a further year. He'll join the club on the 11th of November at the start of the next international break. We have heard from Jamie Carragher already this hour. Now let's speak to our chief reporter Nolan Baker. What do we think, Ben? Is this the right man for the job? Well, let's wait and see, but I think Manchester United have moved very quickly. It was only on Monday that they decided to sack Erik ten Hag. A couple of days later, Friday, they've got Ruben Amorim. Now, everybody knows what a great young coach he's in. I think the risk is that he's only managed in the Portuguese league, but he's done a fabulous job with Sporting. So this is going to be a bigger challenge, but he is the best person who is available at the moment as long as you had the 10 million to trigger his release clause. I think the only sort of disappointment for United perhaps is that they have to wait until the international break before he comes in, but I'm not sure that's that much of a bad thing because Ruud van Nistelrooy seems to have started off really well. There's a sort of feel-good factor back around the club, and the fans have got Ruud in charge for another 3 games and they've got Ruben Amorim to look forward to. You said there that there might be a little bit of a frustration that he doesn't come in and start work until that international break in 10 days' time. But do you think Manchester United will be pleased that over the course of this week they've managed to get everything sorted? Signed and here he is? Well, yes, because you know the last thing they wanted is a drawn-out saga where they would be having to interview lots of different managers and there'd be lots of reports about things that were happening and it could affect performances on the pitch. We basically know that all clubs have a succession plan in place. I think a couple of weeks ago United's hierarchy would have been aware of the fact that things weren't going particularly well under Erik ten Hag. There was this famous INEOS monthly executive committee meeting in central London 3 weeks ago, so I'm sure during that meeting they would have talked about what they could do going forward if results didn't improve under Erik ten Hag, and I think their number one target was Ruben Amorim, so then it was just a case of sounding out his representatives, seeing if he did want to come to Manchester United, and once the decision was made to part company with Erik ten Hag, they moved very quickly. But the most important thing here is that Ruben Amorim said yes, even though Sporting are top of the table. They've got 100% record, they've scored 30 goals this season, only conceded 2 goals, they're doing really well in the Champions League as well. He just thought that opportunities like Manchester United don't come around very often, and when they do, you have to grab them with both hands. What about the significance then that Ruben Amorim is Manchester United's head coach, not Manchester United's manager? I think it's the first time Manchester United have had a head coach, but I think it tells you more about modern football than it does about Manchester United. You know, most managers are head coaches now, the kind of people who are buying football clubs. They like to have a modern structure in place. No directors of football, sporting directors, technical directors, recruitment directors. The head coach is just another hire. But of course, when it comes to the football side of the operation, he is the most important hire. And I think he may prove to be the final piece of the jigsaw when it comes to INEOS' rebuilding of Manchester United. We've seen, for instance, new sporting director, new technical director, new chief executive come in. Ruben Amorim is their man. He's their first managerial head coach hire. You know, of course, they decided to stick with Erik ten Hag during the summer. So in a way, that was a decision. Looking back, they would say, okay, that was the wrong decision, but hindsight is a wonderful thing to have. You're always going to make mistakes. I think what INEOS realized is we made a mistake. If we stick with Erik ten Hag, we're in danger of missing out on the top 4. We need to make a change quickly and credit them for doing exactly that. I think we just had a little look there on the screen as to what this new structure might look like under INEOS, and as you said, he potentially is. They will hope so that the final piece of the jigsaw, missing out on top 4, then that would be the target that at the moment the sky is not quite there. Limit in Manchester United and maybe competing with the likes of Chelsea and Tottenham and Aston Villa for 4th this season. Look, I think what Ruben Amorim has to do is get United back in the top 4. We heard Erik ten Hag talk a lot about winning cups, League Cup, FA Cups. Yes, it's great to win those trophies as well, but I think the most important thing for Manchester United's owners is to get back into the top 4 and get back into the Champions League, and I think that's still possible. If you look at the league table, United are only 7 points off 4th place. There's still, 3/4 of the season to go, and just remember what happened to Ruben Amorim in his first season in charge of Sporting. I think when he took over the previous season, Sporting had finished 4th in his first season. They were champions. I'm not saying that's going to happen this time around. Just to clarify, I'm saying give him a little bit of time, and I think he could have a major impact. Just on that point about Champions League as well, the other route into it is by winning the Europa League, which is where Manchester United are. Yeah, I mean, they're not doing very well in the Europa League at the moment, haven't won a game yet, drawn all their games. I think they've got another game coming up next week against PAK Salonika. Ruud van Nistelrooy will be in charge for that. But yes, that is another route into the Champions League. A club as big as Manchester United needs to be in the Champions League, and when they're in the Champions League, they need to be competitive. Because last time they were in it, the performances were woeful.